Well, hi there. You're watching and or listening to Podcast is Broken, a weekly podcast where we attempt to make Canadian news and our politics funner. I'm Brittlestar.
I'm Steve Boots, and more fun.
I'm Lisa. Funner restaurant.
That was so sweet. That's the sweetest you've ever sounded, I think.
It's so delicate.
It was.
I know, right?
It was
I'm a
delicate.
lady.
It's like a little flower. Who brought the little flower to sing along with
Right?
us?
She's so demure.
It was so nice. It was so nice. So we were saying that there's been a few things happening in Canadian news this week, but in general, it's been weird. It's been kind of weird in that it's been like, because it was so high-packed, action-packed, and then in comparison to the U.S., it's like nothing's happening here.
Right?
You know?
Yeah, it's almost as if the news cycle's been like slightly tied up with something.
Yeah, whatever that happens to be.
No
It's like
theories.
a pinball in a pinball machine. It's like ping here, it's going there, everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But there were things that did happen in Canada, and we're going to talk about some of them. And that's starting off with our friends in Alberta and Danielle Smith, the Premier Danielle Smith. So enlighten me.
Oh, bless her.
As a resident of Ontario who thinks of Alberta, not that often, except when I'm there because I love it. But I want to know more. Tell me more.
Tell you what, you want to take it, Steve?
Oh, where do we start? Okay, so in order to know what's going on here and just how bad things are, we need to backtrack just a touch. Okay? So last November, the Heritage Classic was in Calgary or Edmonton? I can't remember. Calgary.
Mm.
Heritage Classic in Calgary. Danielle Smith was on Ryan Jesperson's talk show and said that she really wanted to go into the suite and have suite tickets, but she couldn't because the ethics commissioner told her she could only go in the suite for 20 minutes. So
that's weird.
8 days later, the ethics rules were rewritten. And the ethics rules were changed as such to make gifts and things to MP or MLAs unlimited, subject to the approval of their own chief of staff. So Danielle Smith's chief of staff can approve gifts to Danielle Smith. And
along with changing the rules, just as a side note, they also changed the ethics commissioner.
Yeah, they also replaced the ethics commissioner with
Is that ethical?
Somebody more corrupt. No.
Who cares?
I mean,
it's Alberta.
Is unethical a form of ethical?
I mean, it's a form.
It's a form.
It's the absence of.
And so if you were watching the Canucks play the Oilers in Vancouver, you might have noticed Danielle Smith in the box seats being highlighted by a spotlight, which I'm pretty sure she really didn't want to have happen.
Sure.
And so we found out that she went to box seats that were given to her by a board member of an Alberta Crown Corporation.
Oh, my.
Invest Alberta.
Who just put, who was it again? Oh, Alison Redford in as.
And another minister, it's Jason Nixon, I think. No, I can't. I'm not going to say, was it Nathan Neudorf? I can't. No. There was another minister.
They're just making sounds.
Yeah. They just Midwestern names.
Scooter
you know how it is.
Scooter, yeah.
Shimana. But the point is, one of her ministers also accepted tickets or box seats to a game that were given by the president and CEO of the company that helped broker the Turkish Tylenol deal.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So there's shenanigans ahoy.
Yeah.
But the final step is that Tuesday, a totally different day.
A totally different day.
And an unrelated day. This is not Tuesday, of course, different day. Danielle Smith was asked directly whether or not her or any ministers were gifted private flights to Oilers games, and she essentially refused to answer and stormed away, which is a great sign.
Yes, it screams
she was
ethics.
She was
and so
snarky.
That's essentially where we're at, where Danielle Smith insists that she didn't break the ethics rules, which is in all likelihood indeed true.
Mm-hmm.
because she changed
Only
the game.
because
She
she
changed
essentially removed all the ethics rules.
Yeah. It's shady, but
What's the take of people on this kind of thing? 'Cause, I mean, I feel like my initial reaction to this is that yes, there's a problem with like the Turkish Tylenol thing, and that's a little bit close to home. What else is she going to use provincial money to buy or whatever from these people? I don't know if a box seat, even in a flight in a private jet, and added on, and maybe a couple of beers because they're expensive at games.
right.
I don't think that's going to necessarily tip the scale to like, I'm going to give you $100 million. I know it's not ethical, but is anyone going to care?
Well, I think that there's been some like pushback from her people who aren't happy. Like UCP voters and regular Albertans that she always likes to reference that she's doing so much for, are doing some pushback of like, that doesn't, what? Right? I didn't get to go to a game. Why are you and your staffers and everybody else going to a game? So maybe it's planting a seed. I mean, we knew she was shady. We knew that this was coming when she changed the legislation, right?
Yeah.
As long as it's not cash in pocket, anything goes. So.
Everybody was just waiting for what the shenanigan was gonna be.
Yeah.
Like it was so obviously like, you don't get this hockey game thing. Okay, noted. A week later, new rules, everybody. Like, okay, it's coming.
Well, I think when she was on Jesperson, she referenced something of like, in order for it to meet the monetary regulation, like she could only attend for like 16 and a half minutes, right? Because So now she gets to stay in the, because that's what.
Well, yeah, because you don't know. You want to know how the game turns out. Exactly.
Of course.
Exactly.
But I think the heart of why people are concerned about it is because as soon as there's the sense that you're using the influence of your public office to enrich yourself personally, that's a huge problem. And so in the case of this, there's somebody who the government directly did a major $80 million business deal through, who is giving substantial gifts to the government. And then you've got another case where somebody who is a board member who answers to the premier, right? Who is one of the board members of Invest Alberta, which moves a ton of money around in Alberta, right? They're literally the government's crown investment organization.
Once a lobbyist, always a lobbyist. That's what I'm
Well, yeah. And so what you got to ask the question, what favors may or may not have been exchanged, allegedly, always allegedly, don't sue me. What favors may or may not have been exchanged for said tickets? What considerations, right?
Oh, yeah. And see, look at I don't think it's about the tickets. I think the deals are happening because that's just what Danielle does. And the tickets or whatever else she may be getting is just a thank you, right? It's a little thank you.
Well, that's it. The wheels get greased.
Right? Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah. The $80 million Tylenol, the shitty masks that were coming through. I mean, that was a little bit before Danny, but it was still under UCP from the same people. I mean, it all intertwines, right? She's just made it now so completely overt that, you know what? If we change everything, then we never do anything wrong. She was not happy. Like, I'll give the reporter props because they pushed. Finally, they pushed. Mm-hmm. And she was not happy, and then she did storm off. So good. Feel the pressure. People don't like you.
I have a Danielle Smith quote. So one of the best ways that you can get Danielle Smith dead to rights is to just see what past Danielle Smith has said.
Oh, yes.
So when she was the leader of the Wild Rose, she said, and I quote, where are we here? This kind of personal pampering and self-service of their leaders, when Albertans see this, they lose faith not only in the individual, but in the political and democratic process itself. The lasting effect of this kind of entitlement is a cynical public that believes the worst instead of hoping for the best. We should see the very best of our values and the very brightest of our intentions reflected in our leaders.
Do you know
Past Danielle Smith is livid.
Do you know who she was talking about at that time?
Wasn't it Redford?
Allison fucking Redford.
Who now works for Invest Alberta.
Who she's now put into Invest Alberta.
But you know what past Danielle Smith wasn't doing? She wasn't going to hockey games in the box seat. That's
in the
what she wasn't doing.
Right? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it's got a real tip of the iceberg feel to it, though, right? I guess that's kind of the thing is on the surface, and my question about asking, do you think people will care? I think people will take the basic information of like hockey game tickets. Who cares?
Mhm.
Flights. Who cares how she got there? Whatever. What's that? $100? 150? Maybe 200? And they're just going to be like, it doesn't matter. Who cares? It happens once in a while. Plus, she's the premier, and she should be allowed to do that kind of stuff. But then there's also the element of like when she starts walking away from questions like, did you get your flights gifted to you? That's got a bit of a tip of the iceberg feel. It's got a bit of, as you said, it's like what wheels are getting greased here. And as you said, Lisa, that idea of like, it's not about the exchange of goods. It's about a little bit of a, hey, thanks. That type of thing.
Well, and here's the thing. If you haven't done anything wrong, why are you snarky?
Yeah.
Right? Like you showed your hand. That's the thing. You changed the legislation, you changed the ethics commissioner, and you're in your right to do this by everything you've changed. So why not just say, yeah, it meets the criteria. We'll have it reviewed, but you got snarky, which means somewhere in what is left of a soul, you've done something wrong.
Or that she's going to be found out. There's more to be found out.
Well, and this is it. You've got to bear in mind here, the reason why this is such a scandal isn't because it's the only time it's happened. It's because it's the time they got caught.
Yeah.
Right.
They did this right out in the open. Think about how brazen it is to take box seats from the board member of Invest Alberta at a playoff game. It's going to be seen. You're going to get noticed.
Yeah.
So think about how many times you've gotten away with it behind closed doors that you felt that cocky to do it right out in full view of the public.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Yep.
Right? Like you don't start at hockey tickets at a playoff game. That's not step one.
No. Because you're going to be seen at the game regardless. And in a box, you're going to want to be seen in a sense. You kind of want to get the camera to pan up and go, it looks like Premier Danielle Smith is in the attendance as well tonight.
It's a schmooze fest, man.
Sure. Of course it is.
Have you ever been in box seats out of curiosity?
I have.
Did you schmooze or did you actually try to watch the event?
I'll tell you what happened. The last time I was invited to box seats, I tried to schmooze. However, it was at a Depeche Mode concert, and there was a large brand who had their marketing team that we were splitting the box with, like in attendance, and the box belonged to somebody, a platform, and it was all very nice. I just asked if we could, and they made it happen, which was awesome. But all I did was I should have schmoozed. But I didn't schmooze as much as I should have schmoozed. I could have probably done much better if I hadn't just kept drinking beer and also turning around to the people from marketing from this huge brand and saying, listen, there's going to be a couple of songs that come on and I will not stop dancing to them. I will be dancing directly in front of you. I'll be doing moves such as this. And I shook my hips. I'll be doing moves such as this, the twirly fingers in the air. And I delivered. Because I stand by my ethics.
You're a man of your word.
Full disclosure. Exactly.
Lisa, have you done the box seat life?
I have not done the box seat life. No.
Don't act so disgusted by it.
I've been in a box seats exactly once in my entire life. It was at a Rider game, and it was at Tourism Regina, Experience Regina for a brief period of time. It was at their box. And so it was all just like, basically like local destination marketing people who wanted to talk about, their hotel or whatever. Yeah. And so, but it's a bunch of like middle-aged boring people in Saskatchewan. So they just wanted to talk about their cottages and boats. And so there's like the box and then there's like the seats where you can watch the game that are sort of like outside of the box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not a single person sat in one of those seats all game except me. Not one. Nobody even looked at the game.
Yeah.
And I was like,
we're there for the party.
What is the
This
point
is why the three of us aren't rich, though, is because we
weren't
schmoozing.
True. But then when I was leaving, the elevator opened and there was a man who had brought his own stool into the elevator and had 2 enormous buckets of fried chicken and was just like the mayor of the elevator. And so I Oh yeah, it was great. He just was like holding court in the elevator, distributing fried chicken.
But you know,
You gotta come to Saskatchewan.
This
man.
is pre-COVID when people would just randomly dip their hands in buckets of chicken.
This is before human interaction was nature's deadliest killer.
Gotcha.
Has anyone in Saskatchewan seen a rich person before? I mean,
No.
that's not a rich thing. I haven't been to a party yet where there's been an elevator with a chicken guy.
Nobody. Oh, the chicken guy was
Ontario.
not staff. The chicken guy was just a man who had loaded up on chicken.
Oh, he was just kind-hearted.
Just a random
set
guy?
up shop in the elevator.
Just doing a bit
This is just a drunk man distributing chicken.
Just a regular
God,
Friday
they got
night.
everything here in this box seat. They got a free beer. We got our own bathroom. We got an amazing view. This is fantastic. This is a drunk chicken dude.
Chicken man.
Okay. Bring it
Yeah,
back.
but I think that, well, you know what I was thinking is watching, and for those of you who are just listening, Lisa's face when she was asked if she had been in a box seat before was one of disgust and one of socialist rage.
Withering contempt.
I really wish people...
No. I just said box seat and she's like, me, a petit bourgeois.
Never. That's only because
I want the crappiest seat in this place.
Right? And I want to pay the most for it.
Yeah.
I wish people would watch the podcast and not just listen to the podcast, because for everybody that says, "Oh, Lisa's so quiet," you need to see the faces. That's how I.
Yeah, it's
she
true.
Speaks with her eyes.
Yeah, we've talked to her about that and told her to stop doing it and start making noises instead. Yeah, like
just
that.
guttural noises.
Yeah. But so here's my goal now. My goal is now what I want to do more than anything else in life right now is to get Lisa into a box seat that is so extravagant that has like attendance, food, free bar.
If you must, you must.
Drunk chicken guy in the elevator.
If you are in Edmonton and you are listening to this and you have access to box seats.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my
but
God.
Not just
Email address is
like
on podcastisbroken.ca.
Yeah.
Let's make this happen so that Lisa can have the contempt washed from her face and with a taste of the good life.
Exactly. We'll turn
She's going to come back as a capitalist. She's going to buy a car dealership, start acting like a landlord. It's going to be a whole
properties,
thing.
Evict people left and right. Yeah,
she's going to get her healthcare for free tattooed, changed to healthcare for me. She's going to get the free crossed out.
I'm not usually on this side of it from the two of you. Usually I'm dishing it. I like it much better when I dish it out. So whatever.
This is all everyone's fair game. Everyone's fair game. But it is one of my joys in life is it will be to take you to a box seat.
Okay.
And yeah. Maybe we'll have what's the place in Alberta? There's the Sky Restaurant or Sky Club or something. What's it called?
The shuttle.
The Calgary Tower?
No, there's
not that.
Please tell me you're not thinking of the Calgary Tower.
I've been in the Calgary Tower. That's no fun.
Is there a restaurant in the Calgary Tower?
No.
Yeah, there used to be.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. It's like the most anticlimactic landmark in the universe.
It's a little small.
Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's big for us, right?
Well, listen, subtext is
size doesn't matter.
It's
impact.
Although that does explain the big trucks.
It does, and the truck nuts as well.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, the place where Jason Kenney and COVID and stuff like that, they were eating outside, and they were all hanging out.
Oh, Sky Palace.
Sky Palace. Yeah, that's shut down.
Sky Club. Never heard of it. You mean Sky Palace?
It's get it right. Yeah. Just Jameson on the rooftop. Yep, that's
Sky
it.
Palace was really like you need to understand the term Sky Palace was really cemented in the Western consciousness for a minute there.
Yeah, it certainly was.
So Lisa, it was just like a private club, right?
Yeah, like it was part of their whole like portion of the building and like war room. Like it was the whole shebang, right? And it's
like in their offices they had bartenders and stuff.
Can I just say also Allison Redford? That's what it all happened.
Right. That's the common thread.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then they got dinged on the rooftop, all schmoozing with their Jameson. But
it was like telephoto photography.
Yes, exactly.
Like long range photos of a drunk Jason Kenney.
And it was so. I think that scandal with that was because it ties together with the ethics thing happening with Danielle Smith and stuff right now. But one of the most Canadian things about that was they were drinking Jameson, which is like, are they 18? Come on.
Well, that was the rationale. We weren't drinking expensive, it was just Jameson and some wine. Like, anyway, yeah.
But that's the kind of thing that did turn people a little bit, I think, against the but so saying they got elected. So, I mean,
different leader. It takes a lot. Yeah. It takes a lot, but I think there's some crumblings happening. We'll see in the near future. But
this brings me to the next little bit of conversation. It's kind of segues into something else. And of course, in the U.S., President Biden has said he's not running for re-election. He's taking his name off the ticket. And it looks like most likely that the nominee is going to be Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. And it has flipped the script entirely in the U.S., which is fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
But also, we were talking before the show started about how, like, is that going to have an impact on like that? Plus, also, Steve, you had mentioned J.D. Vance, who is Trump's running mate for now. Maybe this podcast may have an expiry date before.
Maybe not for now.
Yeah, exactly.
He might. Who was it? Scaramucci. Who he fired in like how long
days.
did Mooch make it?
10 days. Yeah.
And so I remember people were measuring his associates' careers in Scaramucci's for a while.
But we were thinking, like, is it going to have an effect on the conservatives, like the Poilievres and all that kind of stuff? Are people going to look at what's happening? Because the noise is so loud from the U.S. and the show is so big in the U.S. that, as we were saying at the top of the show here, that it's distracting and that it feels like nothing's going on in Canada right now compared to what's happening in the U.S. Is it going to have a detrimental effect? I texted you guys a few days ago and I said, I predict that Kamala is going to be the nominee and her alignment with Trudeau is going to actually be a benefit to Trudeau's polling numbers. And it's actually going to go up. People are going to go, oh, yeah, no, we should probably have Trudeau instead of Poilievre fighting with this woman.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting just because, like, for the longest while, I mean, we had the two seasoned candidates, right? And they would play off. I'm trying to well marinated.
Are you worried they're listening to this show?
Well, I know they're not, but I just try to be respectful.
For those of you listening at home and not watching, Lisa just made a yeah right face.
Lisa, out of curiosity, how many presidential nominees in their 80s do you think listen to this show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anybody.
It's a very niche 80s demographic.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. I think we do have some people.
You just don't know.
You don't know where we poll.
That's true. Exactly. That's true.
But that was the battle, right? It's like the battle of the two seniors, and that's was Trump's whole Joe's too old and Sleepy Joe. And it has changed now. The whole playing field has changed, and it's delicious. I love it.
Yeah, and a lot of it's been really interesting. I mean, it's early days yet, but a lot of the lines of attack that have been working suddenly aren't.
Yeah,
and so it's going to be very interesting. But I think what's really going to be notable is think about the timelines, right? In all likelihood, the U.S. election is going to be before our election.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, things can change.
Yeah.
That means that Poilievre is going to get a very clear demonstration of what this brand of politics is going to play like here and now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. 8 years ago, or not 8 years ago, 4 years ago, when Donald Trump was in, was a very different time than it is even today. And I think it's worth noting 4 years ago, Trump lost an election. And there's reasons to believe that against a better candidate than Joe Biden, he's not in tremendous shape. So it's going to be really interesting to see, right? Like if Trump does win, it's basically a victory lap the rest of the way for Poilievre in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. And if Trump doesn't win, then if I'm Pierre Poilievre, my tone changes abruptly. I don't know if I have much choice. Like a more conciliatory tone with progressives is kind of your only option at that point, isn't it?
I'm trying to picture this. I mean, if
not like
no,
best buddies, don't get me wrong.
No.
Yeah.
But maybe not like the
But
entire
if the Democrats win in the states, if the Democrats win, Poilievre then has to basically change it from just being about Justin and all his garbage to kind of battling the US a little bit, which I don't think he's got the gumption to do, but you have to turn it around, because if he's thinking, they're all thinking that they're a shoo-in, right? So they would have that to play off each other. If the Democrats win and he doesn't have a partner, I don't know. He's going to have to change something.
Hopefully his personality.
Hopefully just his career choice. Like, I don't know, maybe.
I just think that we've mentioned before, and that these elections, especially the U.S. election, but also like even in Canada to an extent, even it's not quite the same. Like in the U.S., it's a two-party essentially system, and it's a pretty even split polling wise currently, which is weird to me. But there's a small, tiny fraction of undecided and or swing sort of flip voters, people who don't really know how they're going to vote. And I call those people morons. But separate to that point, I feel like that these campaigns are made for the benefit of morons. And I think that because everyone who's voting for Trump and is convinced they're voting for Trump, it's unlikely they're going to flip their vote to Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Everyone who's voting for Kamala Harris, it's unlikely they're going to flip their vote for Trump. However, there's that small percentage, if they're polling at 44 and 44 or something in the middle, where they've got 12% of people or less, where it's going to be, okay, how do we get those people? And I think those people in Canada, even like those fence sitters and stuff, will look at what's happening in the US and say, yeah, those people were like, as we started talking about JD Vance and stuff like that, and talking about how he's just not been an awesome choice. And he's actually maybe even that Biden leaving and having JD Vance is not helping Trump at all.
No.
Yeah. So I think that you might sort of see them as the positioning as opposed to being like these guys, this train of winning, this winning train of power is now going to become
this
like
unstoppable force.
Yeah. It's going to become a bit of a joke. And I think that's what affects those people that are in that middle section of undecided voters who are like, well, I don't know. And I'm wondering if that has the same kind of effect in Canada. And I'm not calling the people in Canada morons, because there's just not enough. It's not the same situation.
No.
But it's interesting to see if it's going to change. I feel it will. I think, because Lisa, you brought that up before the show, and I think it will. I think it'll affect the perception of Poilievre. If Kamala Harris gets in, suddenly the America looks progressive, and that's going to change. People are going to go, well, I need to do business with America. We need to do business with America. We should probably look kind of the same too, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's also important to bear in mind in politics, momentum matters a ton, right? What team seems like they're winning just naturally draws more people to it, because there's a lot of people in politics and in life who are just kind of front runners, right? Who just are like, oh, it seems like it's the liberals now, so I guess I'm a liberal guy. You know, they just sort of, there are genuinely a lot of people though who just follow the flow and vote for whoever they think the party du jour is. And so when the tide feels like it's shifting like that, there are generally a lot of people in this sort of squishy middle who get moved very easily. And even something as simple as momentum or feeling like they're joining onto a winning team can be enough to tip some of those very lightly motivated voters.
Well, and let's be real. I mean, the states affects us far more than we affect the states. So, to see what's going to happen prior to our election there, I think is going to have some impact. And plus, we've talked about that whole momentum thing with a certain party that started 2 years ago campaigning. We'll see how they continue this momentum and what other scandals and things come up that, detract from their ability to make any headway. But it's gonna be an interesting ride. And I think everything has changed. The voter base has changed now. But we'll see what happens. But I think it was the right choice. It was the right choice.
The best description I've heard is somebody, a unnamed source within the Republicans, said that the Republican Party right now is basically the dog that caught the car. They wanted Biden to step down. Biden's got to step down because they assumed he just never would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it really does sound like Nancy Pelosi pulled this like Benny Gesserit stuff in the behind the scenes and like pulled all the strings to force Biden to make a move. Like, oh, it's going to be the best season of The West Wing ever in 15 years.
Oh, I'm watching it live.
Oh my God. Kay, did you see the morning of Aaron Sorkin put out an essay saying the Democrats should really come out with something incredible here and nominate Mitt Romney?
Yes.
Oh,
really throw everybody a curveball.
Yes.
And then Biden steps aside, and immediately Sorkin's like, okay, I take it back. I take that all back. My bad. That was dumb. Don't do that.
Had my fingers crossed.
Immediately.
Mitt Romney. Remember the days when people who were like the bad guys really weren't that bad? Like Mitt Romney, who just like tried to iron a shirt while he was wearing it.
That was grass
and he
is
had
not always
binders
greener.
of women.
Yeah.
Yeah, binders of women.
The good old days.
He was such a mild form of weird compared to the weird we have now.
Yeah, this is next level weird, honestly.
Well, for sure in the US, but he sort of reminds me of a little of an Aaron O'Toole in the sense it was like
oh my God. Yeah.
It could be worse, right?
It could be worse.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We long for the elder statesmanship of Aaron O'Toole, the guy who pointed a urinal once or a outhouse.
A porta potty.
Or
Exactly.
Porta-john.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. Let's briefly just touch upon, you had mentioned, Steve, that there's some weird stuff happening in Saskatchewan again.
Oh, yeah. So
I don't just mean at your house.
We've talked about the Saskatchewan Party and how they've lost 22 out of 48 people who were elected in the previous election are not coming back.
That seems like a lot.
It is a tremendous number. Retirements, several left in disgrace, a whole bunch of things. But there's a whole bunch of other problems too. Like the majority of their seats, the candidates have just been acclaimed. Nobody wants to run for them.
Okay.
But what I want to talk about is they had a candidate in Prince Albert Carleton. Her name is Megan Mayer. So Megan Mayer was going to be acclaimed. She was running unopposed. And then Sask Kate, TikTok creator, give her a follow. She's fantastic. Found out that not only had this person in the past been working at a private Christian school, she directed a school play in 2014 in which she painted an Indigenous student in blackface. Gets worse. Well, no, it doesn't get worse than that, but it continues getting terrible. So the Sask party insisted they knew nothing about this. Okay.
Yeah.
So except that a formal complaint was lodged at the time. The video of the play was put up on YouTube. And a parent of another kid complained to the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education made them take the video down so they would have an internal record that this had happened. And they still let her go forward as their nominee. And then when she was caught, she stepped out of the race saying that she just left because another person put their name in and she didn't want to run if she wasn't running unopposed. And then the next day she was like, actually, no, never mind. It's because I painted a kid in blackface and I'm disgraced. Sorry. I slipped my mind.
I didn't know what I was supposed to say.
What a classic whoopsie.
Oh my God.
And she insisted in 2014 she had no idea that blackface was offensive.
All right, those were different times. Those were different times. Back in 2014.
Watching the Sask party supporters who have twisted themselves in knots to get angry about Justin Trudeau wearing blackface.
Yeah.
are now absolutely thrown for a loop. Because how do they stick up for this person while also hating Justin Trudeau for doing the exact same thing?
Oh, they'll find a way.
Yeah.
They're honestly, they try and then just smoke shoots out of their ears.
Was she running in a mid-sized town in Saskatchewan?
God damn it.
I did that for Stuart.
I appreciated it so much.
It's the third largest.
Or was it like a
city.
larger
I will have
center
you know.
of 800 people?
It's from the bustling metropolis of Prince Albert, Saskatchewan.
Okay, that's better because there's a lovely person that I see at the dog park, Kathy, if you're listening, hello, who is from Saskatchewan, who is quite offended about 200 people being called a mid. No, not
she
at
was
us
on our
laughing at
side.
it. Yeah, she was on our side.
Okay, good.
Sorry, Steve.
I'm never living this one down, am I?
That's what happens when you guys come at me with your skyboxes. I come back twice as hard.
Oh, it's officially game on.
It's on.
It's no Batmobile, but yeah.
Don't mess with the fun, Steve.
It's pronounced Batmobile.
Mess with the font.
Okay.
You can pick up your new tote bag. Don't mess with the font.
Okay. I have a fun fact.
Oh, Lordy. What's a fun fact?
Would you like to learn a fun fact?
Well, as long as we carefully say that, yes.
Okay, so this is fantastic. There was actually a person named Funt. Alan Funt.
Yes.
The creator of Candid Camera.
That's right.
Even better. I did not know this until I looked up the word
Googled the word Funt? That's a very...
Previously. I had this ready to go.
When you were a teenager.
He was...
A boy just discovering yourself. I get it.
As a young man, when I was a young warthog. Okay, so just listen to this. On February 3rd, 1969, Funt and his wife and his two youngest children were on a flight to leaving from Newark, New Jersey to Miami. Two men hijacked the plane and demanded they take the plane to Cuba. However, passengers seeing Funt believed it was a Candid Camera bit.
Wow.
Funt repeatedly attempted to persuade his fellow passengers as to the reality of the hijacking, but nobody believed him. The plane landed in Cuba, which finally convinced the passengers that they had been hijacked. And they were released after 11 hours.
Well, that doesn't sound fun at all.
They literally did not believe him until they found out they were in Cuba. And they're like, okay, maybe he was telling the truth.
Oh, God.
Can you imagine being the most frustrated hijackers in the history of the world?
But he's like, no, believe me, trust me, I'm telling the truth. So this is why you don't cry wolf, people.
There's your fun fact of the day.
That was pretty good.
That is not a new
right
series in our episodes.
It could be. We'll see what the retention numbers are.
I'm pretty sure that's a one and done. I have no
you never know.
Facts.
Maybe it spikes at that point in the podcast. Then we'll be like, we'll be doing it all the time. Quick, let's make up some fun facts. So I think we have to just there's a couple things, but before we wind down here, I think if you are somehow connected to the Rogers Center, is that what it's called in Edmonton? Rogers Center? Rogers
Place.
Rogers
but
Place.
They're not playing right now. I think it's the Edmonton.
No,
Elks
but listen. There's concerts. There's tons of stuff happening.
No.
And what I would like it to do is we'd like to have the fanciest box ever.
Your boxiest seats.
Our boxiest seats for our favorite Funt.
Rectangular won't do.
And
no, I'm good.
Steve and I will be there. Steve and I will come out there.
Okay,
just to document. We'll document the whole Skybox experience and how you'll change as a person afterwards. Then we'll see how much.
If you want to invite Danny
precious ethics are worth.
Once you've had the hors d'oeuvres, you're never going to look back. Finger sandwiches as far as the eye can see.
I can buy my own finger sandwiches. Thank you very much.
Let's look at the resistance.
The roast beef carving center.
Oh.
Magnificent.
I'm not opposed to
having a good time.
maybe give the Skybox to a not-for-profit. Give it to
for those people listening at home.
Who deserve
this is doing a DeFa gesture.
DeFa? Yeah. I don't think premiers and staffers and MPs and MLAs need to have Skyboxes. And just
tough but fair.
Podcast people should.
Podcast people.
They merit it.
Mediocre TikTok personalities.
So if if you
Niche internet micro celebrities.
If you work in the Turkish Tylenol business and would like to treat us as a podcast for a special sponsored episode in a skybox, get in touch.
Hit us up.
Yep.
And if we could, if we could pick a drunken chicken man, it'd be good if we could choose one.
It's Edmonton. I'll find you a drunken chicken man.
Dibs, drunk chicken man.
You want to be the drunk chicken man?
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we got it. So
Are you sure?
You didn't see the chicken man. Nobody at that football game was having more fun than chicken man.
Well, he was bringing joy to every floor.
And he was drunk.
Exactly.
Like,
he was
right?
like Chicken Santa.
All right, this episode, people were listening at the cottage going, you know what? Maybe it's time I go make some waffles.
I'm going to go.
Chicken and waffles.
Chicken and waffles. Oh my God, it all comes full circle. There we go.
And then finally, by popular demand, we didn't do the improvised theme last week because previous week, people had said that they would hunt us down if we ever did it again. And they hated it so much and we were losing listeners. But now, I mean, for the 4 people that are still listening now, we would like to bring back, maybe for the last time, we don't know, the improvised theme song. What are you playing this week, Steve?
Oh, I've got to bring back the iconic Batmobile, obviously.
Okay, it's obviously, that seems a classic.
What choice could there be, really?
I was not prepared for this, so I just have a glasses case.
Oh, maybe what I'll do is
I'm going to get my... I am a slight capitalist.
Slight. I can't afford
Okay. Gucci. I can't have box seats. I spend all my money on my Gucci. Oh.
I'm going to try to reach this. I can't reach it.
Settle down, chicken man.
Easy, petit bourgeois.
Dial it down.
The B probably stands for Lisa Bourgeois.
Oh, sweet Jesus, what's happening in the corner?
Looks are being served. Is what's happening.
Welcome to Calgary.
Yahoo. We say Yahoo here, apparently.
Exactly. Yahoo, not I always thought it was yeehaw, but it's Yahoo. Anyway, we're losing momentum here. We got to keep going in this. I just thought I'd get the hat to kind of I'd do a bit more of an Alberta.
Do we have a rhythm in mind?
Oh, I think up tempo.
Oh shit! How am I going to do that with the glasses?
So that the uptown funk can funk you up?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Bring in that Batmobile. Nice. Podcast is broken. 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 Yahoo!
Yahoo!
Kia.
That's a different thing.
Hyundai. What are we doing?
Hyundai. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching and or listening. You, of course, can subscribe at wherepodcastisbroken.ca. You'll get an email notification every time I go live. And you can also subscribe and or follow at your favorite podcast platform. And hopefully stuff will happen in Canada.
I feel like
it seems likely.
I think
probably stuff will happen. I think so. It's also just one last note before we sign off here. I think I was saddened at our last episode where we did the predictions, which I thought was a great idea, which we can do now if you want.
Oh, yes.
But I was just sad that we didn't get any, because I posted it on Twitter. Nothing from Sean Fraser. Nothing.
I don't think
someone
he likes
that tall
jokes.
Really has to sleep a lot of hours during the day, so maybe he just hasn't.
He just didn't want to stoop to our level.
Oh,
that's pretty good. I do like the idea he has to get sleep, like he sleeps on an angled bed with his feet higher to make sure the blood goes to his heart.
Well, they hang off the edge of the bed.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Poor
nice.
Sean.
Okay, what's your prediction? Really quickly, what's our predictions for next week? Lisa?
People are going to go to jail for harassing and threatening Prime Minister and other politicians.
Okay, all right, yeah. And Steve?
Pierre Poilievre unmasks himself to reveal that he was actually the Thing at the end of the movie The Thing.
Wow. That was
It
something.
could be.
It could be something. My prediction... Well, the crowd liked it. I'm
getting seething approval.
Wow.
Yeah, seething approval. Exactly. Oh, God, they stopped on a dime. My prediction for next week is that this is very difficult. My prediction for next week is that Mark Carney will be made Minister of Finance.
Again.
He's just going to recycle it every week till it happens.
He's going to keep running that one until it hits, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I didn't tell you I'm predicting for next week. I didn't tell you which next week. So
we're going to have to do this some until 2029.
Exactly. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody. Have a good week.
Folks.